Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got playa props here on a little baby 4-game slate in the NBA on Monday with a bunch of teams on a back-to-back. So we are sifting through the muck and the injury reports that we have early on Monday morning to see what we can get out for you guys. We've got a few picks here for playa props. Also got best bets in the other episode, so make sure to subscribe to that page. Don't miss out on either one each week throughout the rest of this NBA season. Also want to let you know about the BetMGM partnership. If you don't yet have an account, we're still running that exclusive deal with BetMGM. For those who need a sportsbook account, sign up using the code THELINESYT50. That'll get you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If your first bet doesn't cash, automatically see those funds in the account if you do fail to hit that first bet. Also get $50 back in bonus bets no matter what if you do use that code. So definitely sign up there if you don't yet have an account using that and get that free money. Nate, nice little 3-1 there on the props here on Friday. Let's keep it going on Monday.
Yeah, it was all the way back on Wednesday. Remember, we got a little Thanksgiving break on Black Friday. But yeah, moving on to the Monday slate here. I'll take DeJounte Murray over 11.5 rebounds and assists. I don't want the points. I think it is too high when you bundle it all together. I think Dyson Daniels would do a pretty good job on him. And if the Pelicans don't have much around him, if CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram don't go, I just think too much defensive attention for him to be able to score in droves here. But he's an elite rebounding guard. I mean, first of all, and then the assists will be there. The ball will just be in his hands so much if those guys can't go that Dyson Daniels, we talked about forcing passes, and Atlanta not guarding shooters. So he does still have Trey Murphy on the wing, right? Maybe Jordan Hawkins gets back. He can kick it out and get a few dimes, maybe, 10.5 potential assists his last two. Let's remove the first game back from the injury for DeJounte. He's only played 4 games all season. So in his last 2 since returning, 15.5 points, 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 14 rebound chances, which is second on the team, and 10.5 potential assists, which leads the team. And CJ's right there with him. But if he can't go, again, that's just more potential assists. Facing the former team, you got that theory, but yeah, it's more about how Atlanta guards dudes, and they give up the 8th most assists. They play at the 3rd fastest pace. They give up the 4th most rebounds to point guards and the 2nd most points, because while you'd like to put Daniels on the best scoring guard, sometimes, other teams just get the switch, and then DeJounte could just eat against Trae Young or force double teams, get those assists. Again, going back to like if CJ can't play, then he's the main ball handler. And you saw with the splits last year with Trey out, 5.8 rebounds, 9.1 assists, up from 5 assists per game. And that was in a 28-game sample for DeJounte Murray. And you even see just not being in the Trae Young-centric offense in this 4-game sample with the Pels, he's up to 7 assists per 36 minutes, also up from 5.4 to 8 rebounds per 36 minutes. So just a different situation where you don't have a Capella, Jalen Johnson, guys to clear the glass. He has to come in and mix it up more for this thin Pelicans squad, and I think he'll continue to do that against the Hawks.
Hope so, man. Definitely hope so. It's definitely where I'd be leaning for him too. I don't trust really anybody with the points for the Pellies, so yeah, best of luck on this one. It's not like he's going to have much resistance, so we'll see. And it should be a little bit up and down. We'll see how the Pellies want to play, obviously, without CJ. But if CJ's not in there, then, yeah, everything is just bumped up for DeJounte anyway. But let me stick to that game and go with current talk, Jalen Johnson. I'm going with the points. I think there's a way to get interesting with it, too, to do something along the lines of, like, 15 points or 18 points combined with 8 rebounds, 4 dimes. Like that's basically what he's getting. And you can probably get some plus juice, but I just took the points and kept it simple. He's gone over in 13 of 17 since the first 3 games of the season where he just went under and had a bunch of duds. Still obviously didn't really seem to know how to play quite as well, specifically with like DeAndre Hunter kind of seemed to be in the way a lot. And that's definitely been something that's been fixed as he's just playing a lot more than DeAndre Hunter at this point. And has clearly just taken that role into the clear cut 1A behind Trey, and at times it kind of seems like he's 1A and Trey's 1B, but either way, somewhat interchangeable. I think the points are still the best play here against a team that is not defending power forwards well. It's been a rotating door of power forwards for them, and it's really Trey Murphy probably in this game. He had probably a little bit too little, if you're asking me. I mean, he's a really good defender. I get that. I don't think he's of the ilk to limit Jalen Johnson in the open floor, especially. And that's really what I'm getting at here with Jalen Johnson, is like the perfect type of athletic big dude who gets out into transition and is looking to run as soon as he gets the rebound. Big time problem for this team. The Pellies, 29th in paint defense. We know Jalen Johnson's driving to the rim about 10 drives per game, and he's not passing off those drives either. Usually he's taking about 7.5 shots off those drives, trying to get all the way to the rim. Eve Missy's been a bit better for sure, but he's going to be plenty busy with the centers that are on this team for Okongwu and obviously Capella starting. They give the 8th most points up to the spot up as well. So when Jalen is running the pick and roll and the pick and pop with Trey, that he's definitely going to be available for those spot ups. And the transition, 3rd most points in transition, giving up a ton of fast break for this Pellies team. I do think it'll be a little bit better, but I just think it's going to be marginally better with the guys that they have out there in this game than it's been on the season for them. And when they do get into the half court, I like Jalen Johnson to keep his shot attempts up at about 18, 19, as he's been really the dude that they've sort of relied on, especially at the end of the shot clock, to go get a bucket for them, which is nice because they've always had to rely on a dude who's like 6 feet tall. And at the end of the shot clock, it's a little bit more difficult for him. So this is a dude that they're going to continue to only rely on more, I think, and usage will go up, and this is a good matchup.
Yeah, but don't do that with the parlay with this dude. The 20 and 10, like his numbers just they're like a pie graph that go all over the place, where it's like, oh, 29 and 7 tonight. Oh, 18 and 23 the next night. Like I don't think you can count on a consistent line. I do like the points though. Yeah, given the Pellies shorthanded situation down low, think he'll have a fine time. And what you mentioned about Trae Young taking more of a back seat and just letting other guys cook. So that helps for sure. So Dennis Schroeder is my second pick, 21.5 points. You can get 28.5 points assists at MGM, I believe, whereas it's 30.5 other places. So would definitely go there if you have an account at that book, because that's some good value here against a Bulls team that gives up the most assists per game to point guards, 11 per game. Also 26 points, though, to the point guard. Also 58 paint points in their last 10, which is the most in the NBA by far. In the last matchup, Schroeder had a quiet scoring outing against the Bulls. Cam Thomas had nearly 40% usage in that game, and he's out now. Cam Johnson also a bit dinged up. I mean, he does have props up, but, I started to look at his stuff, and, I mean, he's second on the team in drives. He's been quiet in those last 3 in tough outings, but I was like, why don't I just go with Schroeder, man? Like, he's got the higher usage. He's got nearly twice as many drives. He's scoring 27 points a game since they lost Cam Thomas. I mean, both of them shot poorly against Orlando twice and the Suns, and now they get the Bulls. Like I'm saying, and on a back-to-back, Schroeder, probably one of the fittest dudes in the NBA. He's just out there every night if the Nets give him the green light, if they're not just totally tanking already. But on back-to-backs, he's averaged 25 a game, despite having 24% usage in these 3 back-to-backs. And now he has 34% usage in these 3 without Cam Thomas. So just do the math here. He should be able to get buckets in a game that we like the over. We like it to be up and down, and Schroeder's going to have to be the guy to get us there.
Yeah, I want to take the assists for him. Obviously, it's Chicago. They give up a ton of assists, but I just don't trust it necessarily. He got 7 on like 16 potentials against them in the first matchup. And yeah, I think Cam Thomas being out is great. It's just like your shooters are dwindling around him. So I took this yesterday versus Orlando. It was a little bit easier to take. It was 17.5, but that's a way better defense. Obviously, and Jalen Suggs was kind of locking him up before Jalen Suggs got hurt. So, but there's nobody to lock him up at this point. The matchup is going to be wonderful. There's just not enough dudes around him. And I do like the points at this point because I do think he just sort of rides the high. Like it's been 16 hours since his game ended or whatever. He's probably still feeling it in that sense. So I would be going for the points instead. I wanted the assist, but I can't do it without anybody around him. He's going to have to do too much by himself, to your point. So I'm going to close it out with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This is not my favorite bet, but this is what I feel comfortable taking right now in this Lakers mini game, and we just don't have the props up. So I think a sprinkle if you wanted on the 3s for NAW. The points are probably okay as well. I believe those are still listed at 9.5, or they're 8.5. So you could get 8.5 here for him to go over for some close to even money, and that's probably okay as well. It's 2 threes though, and he's taken a lot of threes, so that's where this comes from. But I do think the minutes will continue to stay up for him versus the Lake Show. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. He's played a couple games without Cat the last few times that they played the Lakers, so I do take that into account. But his minutes are up in this team in general, mostly because of the defense that he provides. And I think he's going to have to be that again, as you see Dalton Connect, big Dalton Connect getting more time and more shots from the corner and the wing as well. You'll want NAW out there, like Mike Conley and DDV, even to a degree, are going to be a little bit small for when you've got Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, Rui Hachimura, and then LeBron James as your 4 guys next to Anthony Davis. Like, that's some big dudes out there. And so I think you need that length. And Mike Conley will find himself probably the odd man out when it comes to the minutes. And to a degree, Dante as well, who's just awful this year. Like, suck it up, Dante. Stop pouting everywhere. But anyway, the corner threes is what I'm looking at here versus NAW. That's where he's taking his shots. 25% of his shots coming from a corner three. The Lakers are giving up the 7th most makes, and they're giving up the highest field goal percentage, 43%. From the corners to their opponents right now. So that's a big part of it. It's like NAW's defense combined with his ability to hit the pop in the corner there is a big reason that I think he keeps getting these minutes. 28 minutes in the first game versus this team, and he's averaging 32 in his last 3, dating back to the final 2 of last season versus the Lake Show as well. Over this number in 4 of the last 5, dating back to last season with them, taking about 5 a game. So no, I don't love him to make 2 of 5 all the time, but he's going to have open looks. So I do think they're going to be better looks than you might anticipate. And if he needs to hit 43%, that happens to be what the Lakers are giving up from 3 in the corner anyway. So this is a look here. Jaden McDaniels is not hitting threes, and his is a similar prop here, but it's for like plus 150 because he's barely even attempting 3 of them at times. So I don't like that, but I wanted to attack a corner 3 shooter against the Lake Show.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I'm gonna feel about it. If you're talking about two makes on like 4 or 5 attempts, it's kind of a roll of the dice for sure. For me in this game, I mean, AD his prop is 25.5 points. That's too low. It's all the stuff we talked about with the Lakers not folding on back-to-backs. You're going to expect more from him than LeBron. He didn't have heavy lifting in the last couple games, but owned Rudy Gobert in the previous game a month ago, or on opening night, 36 points. He's owned him in recent matchups, getting to the line a ton. So I would look at him there. You can get plus 180 for him to get like 29 points or to be the leading scorer in this game. If you do want something that's going to have, more volume to it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I looked at AD 25.5. If we like the Lake Show to cover, I don't think we should be scared of AD to get 26 points in a season where he's averaging 28 right now. The other one would potentially be Naz, but there's conjecture there too. I think Naz Reid is a good look because if Rudy's not doing anything to stop AD, then you might as well get some offense on the floor instead of Rudy, right? At that point, that's where you see Naz come in, who's had a pretty good history as well against the Lake Show. Once again, though, because there were some games with Cat Rudy missing, that kind of thing. So it's a weird night, y'all. We got a lot of games tomorrow. Don't feel like you got to let the bankroll go on this slate tonight. So that's all the time we have for you. Continue to follow along. Make sure to subscribe to that page. Don't miss the best bets that we have up for you as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.